What's up, my peoples? Welcome back to another episode of The Wheel Life. My name is John, and on today's episode, we are going to talk about all things bladder management. So whether you are a spinal cord injured person, newly injured, have been injured for 15 years, or you are just an able-bodied person who are curious about how people with spinal cord injuries handle their bladder management, you're in luck. So without further ado, let's get to it. Let's go. Alright guys, so why am I talking about bladder management today? Well, for those of you who do not know, September is Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month. And, you know, these are topics that throughout my life I have always kind of shied away from. I didn't really like talking about the nitty-gritty aspects of living with a spinal cord injury because it kind of carried with it some shame and I felt embarrassed by it. I didn't really want anyone to know kind of went on behind the scenes of my life. But in all honesty, that's a pretty stupid mentality to have. And this is who God made me to be, and this is how I am. And if you don't like it, don't look at it. And I am hoping that this video will help someone like myself and it might raise some awareness of what actually goes on behind the scenes of living with a spinal cord injury. So your brain and your spinal cord, they work together hand in hand to send messages all throughout your body to different working areas, you know, whether that be your bladder, whether that be your bowel, whether that be your legs, pain, whatever it may be. They're like the whole system of how everything works. And when you receive a spinal cord injury and you damage your spinal cord, the messages from their brain to the rest of your body, there's like a whole bunch of speed bumps in there and the messages don't go out right and everything just falls apart. So when you receive a spinal cord injury, literally it affects every single area of your life. Things that you would never even imagine that gets affected, it gets affected. And your bladder is one of those things. Because, you know, when your bladder fills up, you have to know when it's time to release that. But if you don't have that connection, then everything gets all awry and all messed up. So as someone living with a spinal cord injury, what you have to learn to do is learn how to manage your bladder in a safe way that will allow you to empty yourself and, you know, be able to carry on with your everyday life. Because if your bladder, if your bowels, and if all those things aren't running smooth, nothing in the rest of your life will run smooth at all. So I'm going to share with you my routine that works for me. So it's important to understand that everyone with a spinal cord injury lives their life a little differently than every other person, you know. So what works for me might not work for someone of the same level of injury as someone else, you know. It might not work the same. But I'm making this video to give you a little peek into my life and what it looks like to live with a spinal cord injury and how literally everything in our life is affected by this spinal cord of ours. How does a quadriplegic empty their bladder? Well, there are multiple ways for quadriplegics to empty their bladder, depending on their level of injury, depending on if they're incomplete or complete, and my technique has changed drastically over the years. So for the first about 5 years or so of my injury, I did what is called intermittent cathing. And so a catheter is, I'll put a little picture of it up here in the corner. A catheter is something, it's like a tube, right? Like a long tube. And you take that tube and you put it through your urethra and it goes into your bladder and it relieves you, right? And intermittent cathing is that's what it's called. And so what you do is you kind of train your bladder to go every so many hours. And so, like, I used to go every 4 hours. I would have to go to the bathroom to empty my bladder. And if I went any longer than that, I could get really sick. I could get autonomic dysreflexia, or I could have an accident and pee my pants. But about 5 or so years into my injury, my sphincter inside of my man parts started to have these really intense spasms. And when I would go to relieve myself through the urethra, my sphincter would block up and I couldn't get the catheter to my bladder, and it was really dangerous and really, really scary. So what I ended up having done is what is called a suprapubic catheter, okay? And this suprapubic catheter is an indwelling catheter. So this isn't intermittent. This isn't something I do multiple times a day. This is something that stays inside my bladder for pretty much all the time. I change it every 6 weeks. But I'll put up a little graphic over here of what a suprapubic is. It goes in your bladder. It was a surgery that I had to have done. When I had it done, I didn't want to be living with a bag all the time, but you know, you got to roll with the punches sometimes in life, and you've got to do what you got to do. And those are the cards I've been dealt, and it has granted me a lot more peace of mind than having to worry about going to the bathroom every 4 hours. So yeah, that's how I go to the bathroom. I'm going to show you guys how I empty my bag and how I manage to do that somewhat independently. So I'll show you that right now, and then we'll come back and talk a little more, okay? All right, guys. So I'm going to show you how I empty my long leg bag. So underneath my sweatpants, I actually have what's called a 44-ounce leg bag, and it let me show you here. So I'm doing this outside. I'm doing this outside because my bathroom lighting isn't the greatest. So what I do is I take my pants and I pull them up. You can do this with jeans or whatever you need. So there you see is my nozzle, which attaches to my bag where all my pee goes. So then I take what's called a little urinal. This is my urinal. I take my urinal and I put it on my right hand, okay? Okay, so I put my urinal on my hand, right? My right hand, and I lean forward, I take this bag, I take it and I put it in this hole, and then see there's this lever right here? I put my thumb in that lever, and I pull, and see that lever opens, and the pee comes. I don't have much pee in my bag right now, so there's not a whole lot to empty, but that's how I do it. And then what I do is I reclose it, bang it out, make sure all the drippy drips are off there, and then so normally if I'm in the bathroom, what I do next is I take this, I tip it in, and I dump it in the toilet, and that's how I empty my bag. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. It gets the job done. You can do it outside, you can do it in the bathroom, whatever works for you. All right, guys, so that's how I empty my pant leg bag. So it's a long leg bag. It's a 44-ounce bag that goes in my leg. But I wanted to show you something that I use for in the summertime when I wear shorts. All right, so this bag is, I'm not sure the brand of it. I'll link it in the description below. But this is a thigh bag, like it's a shorter bag. So this is what I actually do is I order a bag that's meant to go on my left thigh, but I wear it on my right thigh. That way the port that you plug the tube in is on the right side, and where I empty it is on the left. It goes on my thigh right there, and it's in there. So it's pretty simple, you know. That way I can wear shorts and I don't have to have my bag exposed, and it's a little more private. When you're in the hot sun, you don't want to be wearing jeans all the time. You don't want your bag showing, and so that's what I do, and it's worked out real great. So that's really my whole video. You know, I wanted to give you guys a small glimpse into a big part of what us quads deal with on a daily basis. Something that you able-bodied people might take so for granted. You know, you guys just pull over, take a pee in the woods. You do whatever you got to do real quick, you know, and for us it's kind of a project. But we're so thankful for the things that we have and are able to do more independently. So yeah, I have a Superpubic Catheter. It gets changed every 6 weeks. Hook it up to a bag, and it works like a charm. You have to keep it real clean, be real safe and sterile about it. But you know, I hope this video added some value to your life. I hope it might have educated you if you're an able-bodied person who were curious of how some quads empty their bladders. If you are a quad or you are a paraplegic or whatever you may be, I hope this might have encouraged you to try to empty your bag on your own, because that was a big step in my life to figure out how to do. And so yeah, that's our video. I hope this raises some awareness. I hope you are staying safe. Hope you're staying encouraged. I hope you're keeping the faith. And once again, Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month. Let's go!